I'm just gonna do it, screw it. What's up, everybody? My name is Angel. I'm here to deliver the One Piece 1164 spoilers. This is coming from the Will of Marco on X or Twitter, or whatever. I am here just to post it on YouTube as soon as possible because I haven't seen any of the other YouTubers post it yet. I also know that people like to ingest spoilers by just listening to it, just like I do. Page 2, the beginning note says Rox is assaulted by the Dami Reversi. Here's a little reminder for what happened last chapter. What happened at the end of last chapter is that Imu Dami Reversi'd Rox. We are just dealing with the aftermath of that right now. Zebek screams, "Ah!" Whitebeard says, "Hey, Rox." Roger says, "Attacks don't work on this spider." And then everyone is basically confused and everyone is basically reacting to Rox being turned. It seems that Rox isn't being turned immediately, which is awesome because Rox is him. So Imu says, "You're quite tough," and then Zebek says, Zed, don't underestimate me, you freaking monster. Something like that. So it seems that Rox is fighting against the Dami Reversi, which is really cool. Of course that we've known that Rox is gonna get Dami Reversi'd for a while. It's been hinted at. Why else would they reveal Dami Reversi in the story with Bragi right before the flashback? On the next page, Rox says, "Davy D. Jones. That's the name of the former king of the world." Imu then says, "Silence. That man was never a king. Not even for a second. You have no connection at all to the fate between Mu and Davy." Rox then says, "Then don't be afraid. Davy is just a name. You've always feared it, haven't you? That the will of Davy will be inherited and someday that promise will be fulfilled." Wow, a lot to unpack here. It seems that Imu does not fuck with Davy Jones. I mean, we've known that obviously because of him being up towards Rox, but it seems more personal now. That man was never a king, not even for a second. That seems very spiteful. You have no connection at all to the fate between Mu and Davy. That seems very personal, you know. That's the only other person that Imu has compared themselves to. Everybody else he has not compared himself to. So it's kind of like Imu is being disrespectful or disrespected by Rox. And then what Rox says is what I really enjoy. I've really liked Rox because he's kind of breaking the mold on a lot of the stuff that I don't like in One Piece, which is, I don't like the Destiny stuff in One Piece. And, you know, he had that fate talk with Harold who said, "If fate has it in for me to die, then let it so be. Just let me protect my wife and kid." It turns out he's killing his wife and kid. As we saw last chapter, Imu directed him to kill his wife and kid. But he's broken the mold in the sense that he doesn't follow tradition. He just does what he wants to do because he wants to do it. It's not because he reminds me of Luffy in that sense, honestly. Where here he says Davy is just a name. He doesn't view any special himself. He doesn't view himself as special for having the Davy name. He views himself as special for inheriting it, for inheriting the will, and then doing something with that will, his actions, which I really enjoy if Oda's gonna take this route. Another bombshell is that maybe the will of D is the will of Davy. That wouldn't, I don't know about that, because then it would be Davy Jones, which, you know, it could be to kind of mimic the devil fruits. I know that there's a theory that Davy Jones is responsible for the devil fruits in some way because Davy Jones lives at the bottom of the ocean, and anything that's found or lost in the sea will end up at Davy Jones's locker. And the only thing to counter devil fruits is obviously seawater. If D means Davy, that would kind of lend credence to the devil fruits being named, then the Mara no Mi, the Gomu no Mi, and so on, right? Am I crazy, or it could be some translation stuff that I'm not getting? Is that a connection? Please let me know. That there could be a tie between Davy Jones and the devil fruits, if that's the case. But I don't really think that's the case. I think this is one of those instances where Oda is trying to make us believe one thing, so then that the reveal later on is more impactful. Oh, he's making us think that it's the will of Davy is actually the will of D. So later on, when the actual D is revealed, it'll hit us harder. It'll be Devil or something like that, which is, I personally think it's something like Devil. Also, the promise that would be fulfilled that he mentioned last chapter, I think. But the promise, what could that be? It could be linked to the promise that Joy Boy broke to Fishman Island, and that's why Rocks wanted to find Galila. It could be related to the Noah. It could be the same promise where he wanted to use Galila to build his own Noah or whatever, or build something related to the Noah to fulfill his promise, just like how Joey Boy didn't fulfill the promise, you know? It could be something completely new. I don't know. Next page. Rocks asks Emu, which one do you fear? Davy D. Jones? Joy Boy? And then Emu says, stop dreaming. They'll never appear again. If only you would just disappear. Davy. Mu has found good soldiers. They're huge, harmless, and quite indecisive tribe. Roxton says, the giants, you fool. Don't you dare lay a hand on Harold. Those guys desire peace. Emu then retorts, an unprecedented opportunity. A king that is easy to manipulate will never appear again. Roxton says, hey! Emu then says, like that state you're in now. Now hurry. Davy's dream. End it right now. This has to be one of the craziest chapters in One Piece so far. Rox reveals that he knows who Joy Boy is. Cool. What? How? And if he's specifying Davy D. Jones, the D in Davy Jones and not in Joy Boy, does that mean Joy Boy wasn't a Will of D person? But Luffy is, obviously Monkey D. Luffy, but also the carrier of the Will of Joy Boy. So I wonder if Luffy actually, the reason why Luffy is the one to bring about the dawn is because he has both sides, both Joy Boy and Davy in him, and that's what the Will of D is. What I'm confused about is that Emu says Davy Jones and Joy Boy will never appear again, but then calls Rocks Davy, and he refers to, and Saturn in Egghead refers to Luffy as Joy Boy. Zunisha referred to Luffy as Joy Boy when he reawakened with Gear 5. So Zunisha and Emu really are referring to them as their predecessors. But Emu's saying here, they'll never appear again, if only you would just disappear. I don't know. Also, I'm convinced Emu has to be a shadow figure for real, because you cannot tell me it's cool to have Emu be the main villain of 2 chapters in a row, the main conflict of 2 chapters in a row, and he's still a silhouette? That's crazy. It's also soft confirmed that in order to Dami Reversi someone, you have to break their will a little. And it seems that Rocks, over time, his will has been broken. Over time in this fight, his will has been broken. It started with the Teach and Eris stuff. Now it's with Harold that Emu is taunting him. And we'll see later on in the chapter how much this actually broke his will, how much this affected him. And right now, it seems that Emu is taking control of Rocks. Because on the next page, it starts with Rocks going, ah! Rocks then falls down. Big Mom is like, what, Rocks? What did you do? What happened to you, Rocks? Rocks says, damn it, I'm fading. And then they're confused. Rocks' then demon transformation makes his body huge. And then Big Mom says, huh? You got bigger? And then Rocks says, move aside to everybody. And this is where I think that he's Dami Reversi'd. That all of you move aside. There's a lineage I must erase from history. We saw that when Broggy got Dami Reversi'd, he was still kind of himself. He was prideful of the giants, but Rocks here seems to be completely different, which is very weird. I wanna know more about that. Rocks jumps in and then stabs Kaido in the nose. Kaido's like, whoa, whoa, Rocks! You bastard, what are you? Rocks then throws Kaido, and he gets slammed into the mountainside. And Big Mom is stunned. Is like, you bastard, what are you doing to your Nakama? Rocks then grabs Lin Lin and then throws her away. And then she gets slammed into the same mountainside. Rocks then rushes towards Edward Newgate. Whitebeard says, hey, Rocks, are we getting in your way? Rocks says, just yes. Rocks then slashes at Whitebeard, but then Whitebeard intercepts it with his right hand, using his Devil Fruit powers, and then he stood his ground. The resulting clash broke down the left mountain of God Valley. Oh my god. The Marines and the pirates are going crazy. They're screaming, run for it. The mountain's coming down. The whole thing is going down. I bet this is gonna look fucking crazy. And then in the chaos, we see Rocks heading towards Eris and Teach. We get a couple instances of Marines reacting to the mountain dropping and shit. And we get a couple reactions from some celestial dragons. Some of them say, oh, that was close. Who should we punish for this? Unforgivable. And then we see on the southwest side of the island that Rayleigh's still carrying Shaki. The Roger pirates are hurrying up, but they're also still worried about Roger because they have no idea where he is. They're also excited that they got treasure, which is good. The next page we see Dragon on his knees, and his head is against the ground. He says, damn it, I couldn't even save a baby, where did he go? And then we see that Ivankov and Kuma are here! Just like how we saw from last chapter that they were saving people. Ivankov says, Kuma, that's enough. If we stay any longer, they'll be in danger too. Ginny says, Kuma, Kuma's panting, and he says, there must be more lives I could save. A person he could save. And then the scene cuts back to the Rocks Pirates. It's John! John is like, that bastard Ganzui. And then Ganzui says, Shiki, damn it, is escape even possible from this island? And then Shiki's floating away carrying a treasure box, laughing at him. Gia! Don't think you could outsmart me, he says. Rocks now has caught up to Eris and Teach. Eris goes, Zebek, that form. So you've lost? I'm sorry. In order to save us, you confronted that thing, but it was too soon. Teach, we'll jump into the sea. We have no choice but to swim. I won't let the Davy lineage be exterminated. You must live on, no matter what. And then the Marines say, escapee spotted. Behind Eris and Teach, Rocks is about to slash them in front of the Marines. And then the Marines open fire. Eris says, oh no. But in a crazy panel, Kuma jumps in and sends Eris and Teach away. Then Kuma transported himself away. Kuma, my goat. A couple things to talk about on this page too. It seems that Rocks told Eris everything and that she's informed. Or the Davy clan told Eris everything. And that's why the Davy clan is being exterminated, because they know the truth about Emu. But then again, it could just be Rocks telling her everything because he knows. But why would Rocks also know? So what I think is that the Davy clan knows everything about Emu. And that's why they're being exterminated. And that was the discovery that Garling had made, that he found the Davy clan on God Valley. Also, I love the Kuma agenda. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Emu then is talking back to Rocks and says, now then, Davy, extinguish every light of life left on this island. A Marine says, Vice Admiral Garp, please hurry. Garp says, you're the ones who should hurry. How many are still on this island? And then either Rayleigh or Gaban say, Roger, where are you? Roger says, I'm alright. Anyway, contact me once everyone is accounted for, got it? And then Rocks is slashing up the remaining fodder pirates on the island. The pirates say, stop this, Rocks. Is that Rocks? What's that appearance? And in the final pages of the chapter, Garp and Roger take a deep breath. They both scream, come out here, Rocks. Emu then says, Davy? Rocks is now facing both Roger and Garp. Garp then says, that's quite the appearance you've turned into. Roger says, I won't idly stand by if you target my Nakama. Rocks seems to be communicating with Roger and Garp with telepathy. Most likely with the voice of all things, which I think is an extreme version of observation hockey. And the voice of all things is the reason why Emu can talk to Rocks and not Rocks. That Emu can talk to Saturn and the rest of the Gorosei from afar and maybe even take them over. But And it's also what Rox is using here to communicate with Roger and Garp. I don't know how the voice of all things works. It could be that your haki is so strong that you perceive a different level of communication. Whatever the fuck Oda's cooking, I don't know. Roger then says, "What's this voice?" Rox says, "Please." Roger says, "What's that face you're making?" And then Rox says, "I beg of you, please kill me." Rox then rushes in towards Roger and Garp. And the end note says, "The climax of the God Valley incident. No break next week!" Yeah, it seems like this is what I was alluding to earlier, that Rox's will is completely broken. And now he's just begging to be put out of his misery from what he's had to witness. It seems that the Dami Reversi personality is still intact underneath, and that the consciousness is watching your body conduct these acts, which is terrifying. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, I would like to thank you for indulging my analysis and me regurgitating back this information to you. There was barely any analysis, actually, but I just wanted to try and get this video out for people to see the spoilers. The chapter's coming out soon anyways, should be out tomorrow or something like that, but we'll see. Have a good day.